Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, this is going to be a fun. We're going to learn to take the pose and look like a monk. This is what Watkins talks about.
Show.
And today we're going to learn how to meditate. Oh, let's see. Let me see if I can lower the volume. There we go. Today we're going to learn how to meditate. Meditation 101. For those of you who want to reverse your biological age, listen up. Fasten your seatbelts. We're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance. That head bopping. I know light is in California time, right?
That's early morning there.
Yes, it is. Okay, here we go.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to learn a new truth and embrace the life of your dreams. We can change just about anything and everything. I know that there's going to be times in your life where you feel that you are powerless. But what are some of the things that we can do to increase that empowerment, to reverse your biological age, to all these things that we don't have time for, right? Well, think again, because today we have a book that's going to help you learn more, how to bliss more. So Bliss More is the book that you can win today. Be the fifth caller or texter. I'm taking it easy on you guys. Fifth caller or texter for Bliss More. And this is about how to succeed in meditation without really trying. This book was written for me. I'm telling you this right now. So if you think that yesterday we talked about how dessert spelled backward is stressed. So this is part of our life. We stress ourselves out. What are we willing to do to reverse that? What are you willing to do? Well, many of us, we think that meditation is a good start. How do you do it? How do you make the time? What's the right pose? What's the right way to do it? Well, this book teaches us a new truth about meditation, something as simple as that. And the author is Watkins. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Watkins is here to do just that. Welcome to the Lillian McDermott radio show, Light.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
Now, share
I'm excited to talk about meditation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I am looking forward to learning more. This is something that has been a secret desire of mine. I do great. I then catch my phone and I get hooked and I start working and then I lose that momentum. So I'm sure you've heard it all. And so today I'd like to learn a little bit about your background, or we'd like to know a little bit about your background and what caused you to look into meditation.
Yeah, your story of starting things and getting really busy and dropping them is not unique. I think most of us kind of have that going on. Yeah. And at the same time, we all sincerely would like to access, a state of kind of inner peace. And I was no different. I was the same. I grew up in Alabama, very sort of conventional, traditional childhood. Went to college, aspired to become an entrepreneur or, have a high earning job. And, there were just some things that didn't really make a lot of sense, didn't add up in terms of the relationship between happiness and money. And I remember my first job looking around, and this would be considered a dream job. I worked in advertising. Mm-hmm. I was an advertising major. So this was exactly where I wanted to be. And I looked around and I looked at all the executives and I looked at the people who'd been there the longest, who had, had all the titles and the accolades and they won the awards. And I felt like I didn't feel like people were necessarily happier because they had more things. And I just felt like there must be something else to this whole life thing than just making money. And so I would say that was really when I would call a spiritual journey started, even though I didn't really have the language for it at that time. I ended up quitting that job after about 3 months and traveling around the world. And I ended up getting into becoming a fashion model of all things.
I can see that.
But it was kind of a happenstance type of a situation. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't discovered. I just kind of fell into it. And then through that, I started taking yoga classes. I was going to the gym a lot and I got into yoga at the gym. And this was back in the mid-90s. So there weren't a lot of people doing yoga and there certainly wasn't anyone I knew meditating. I didn't even know meditation was what that even meant. But from my gym yoga classes, some of us would get together and read some of the Yoga Sutras and the yoga books and things. And everybody made reference to meditation. And then we'd get together and start doing these little meditation circles with 3 or 4 people. And it was all very serious. So that's kind of how I got into meditation.
Very good. And so you, my listening friend, thank you, Light, for that explanation. And for you, my listening friend, if you want a copy of the book, Bliss More, it's like Meditation 101 for me. It's a wonderful book. Be the 5th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. And we're going to continue with Light Watkins, but before, we're going to talk with Dale Bellis of Liberty Health Share. Love them. When we return, worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay. So here we go. So, Dale, you're looking rather handsome today with a nice suit. Are you running out after the show? Are you going somewhere to give a presentation, or are you just?
No, just a bunch of meetings, and I just need to, look the part.
Well, you do. And, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, people are not going to hear this on the radio this time because maybe they will. You never know what comes out of my mouth. But Liberty Health Share is what I use for my health care. It's my choice that I made 2 years ago. I broke out of the mold of I can't even say the word insurance. I just said that. There's some kinds of insurance that is important to have. But Liberty Health Share, for those of you who want to learn something different, step outside the box, then there is a place where you can go to when you need support for your health. So that's Liberty Health Share, and their number is 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. This is what I use. I can speak from experience that whenever I need, whether a traditional doctor, allopathic, or osteopathic, or holistic, I can choose, and they're there to support me. So I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit more. Oh, and we're going to do it right now. Here we go. Brian, let me know when time's up, okay? Not this time up.
McDermott, or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today, we're going to talk about meditation. For those of you who've been wanting to meditate your entire life, or you want to keep this process in your life, then we're going to talk more with the author of Bliss More, which is Light Watkins. But for now, we're going to shift a little bit, because remember how I ask you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com and check out my sponsors and support my sponsors the way they support the show, because they are not censoring of what I do. They are supportive, and I want you to support them. Well, I get to speak twice a month with Del Billis. He's the executive director of Liberty Health Share, and this is how I take my control over my health, is by choosing a health share program, and it's Liberty Health Share. And yesterday I was talking to Dr. Friedman, who said, I'm on Liberty Health Share too. And so you find little bit by little that there are people that are making this transition and stepping out of the box. It's about empowering your life to make the choices that you want, not that are dictated for you. And I'm so grateful when Del is here. Thank you, Del, for being on the Lillian McDermott radio show.
It is such a pleasure and frankly an honor to be with you, Lillian. Thank you for your advocacy of that core truth, that now is the time, if never ever before, for the individual healthcare customer to rise up, take control of the care of their health, because that's really what is the issue. So much, unfortunately, there's been a conflation between insurance and healthcare. We're talking about the care we need to access for maintaining and supporting our health, and that's what drives Liberty Health Share.
You know, many people have said, and I've heard this before, that insurance is sick care. And
unfortunately so. You're exactly right. Yeah.
And we were paying such high co-pays when we had insurance. And then on top of that, I had to pay more stuff to go to doctors that I didn't even want to go to. And so I was paying out of pocket to see my regular holistic, homeopathic, chiropractors. I was, you know, if I wanted acupuncture, different things that I was paying for out of pocket on top of my high deductible, on top of the co-pays. So it was, you know, I had to step outside the box, Dale, because we've been told you don't want to be without insurance. And I found myself with a company that filed bankruptcy and didn't tell us, and I was still paying my insurance, and all of a sudden there was no insurance there. And
well, that cultural message is exactly what must be challenged. In terms of our own mentality, realizing that the growth over the last 40 years of what we've been instructed, that the only way to meet healthcare costs being through health insurance, that mentality has grown to where the insurance company is managing my health care. And that orientation was even doubled down on with the passage of the ACA, because the ACA simply enhanced the role of the insurance industry in the area of our healthcare. It's kind of a top-down, centralized planning, one-size-fits-all approach. That's why insurance has managed care and has created multi-layers of metacrats to oversee our health. We've got to break out of that mentality and be empowered to manage and direct and control the care of our health. And that's really what Liberty Health Share is all about. Banding together in a like-minded community of men, women, and families who share the same values and core beliefs, and enabling one another to take control and take charge of the care of our health.
Yes, and I appreciate that, Dale. You know, when I stepped out of this role, I was met with, oh my gosh, this is like, you know, you're walking into uncharted territory, but you guys have been around for a long time as well, and you are Affordable Care Act exempt. And now I hear that that's going to be all changing with the Affordable Care Act or the insurance that is mandatory. Now things are changing as well. What can you say about that, Dale?
Yeah, the individual mandate will definitely change in 2019. However, we're filing taxes now, most of us are, in 2018 for 2017. There is a penalty still in place, and thankfully for those of us that are members of Liberty Health Share, we are exempt from that requirement to have insurance.
Yes.
In 2018, there will still be that penalty, and so we will be exempt from that penalty imposed on America and then 2019, that penalty gets dialed down to zero. That to me is a welcome change because any step toward freedom and liberty is a good thing. But even still, during this transition and the imposition of those penalties, we're not subject to it. But most importantly, I would add, the ACA still continues, Lily.
Yes.
The issue is the mandates of the ACA. That's what we're also exempt from.
Yes.
So whether it's using our money in ways that violate our conscience or imposing on us a particular value set of the kinds of minimum essential care that we believe we need to be forced to pursue, we among ourselves, you and I and all the other members, set our own guidelines. And that's truly, once again, a way for us each individually to be empowered in the arena of the care of our health.
You know, it's interesting. You've been coming on the show now for a while, and today you really honed in on the word empowerment. And so much so that we talked about it during the break, and how empowerment is such an important, and this is what Liberty Health Share is all about, is empowering us to make decisions that are best for us. But here's the thing. Why would anybody, and this is what was dumbfounding to me when I learned that I was paying so much money out of pocket every month and not getting the health care I wanted, even when my husband had insurance and I was going to be added on. As an individual, I was able to work with Liberty Health Share at $200 a month with a $500 non-share, which is equivalent of the deductible. And then you guys pay everything else with $1 million incident, maximum. So share a little bit about that.
Well, that goes again to show the contrast between the managed care or insurance controlled mentality and when people with freedom and motivation and customer control band together to create their own methodology for meeting healthcare costs, the costs come down.
Yeah.
And those costs are controlled by the members themselves, you and I, and because your medical bills are cared for and met and paid for by fellow members. Their dollars go to flow to crowdfund your expense or mine or any other member in the course of the year. So we're health conscious, we're cost conscious, and that changes the game because it's our money at stake. But you asked, what are the bills we share in after that $500, which we all are responsible for, or it's $1,000 for a couple, 3 times that, $1,500 for a family. Then we start meeting those expenses up to $1 million for each incident, diagnosis, a heart attack, all of the medical bills associated with a heart attack, doctor visits, hospital stays, medications, surgeries, all combining together for that $1 million. If you have kidney stones, everything associated with that up to $1 million, a broken arm up to $1 million. And so those guidelines are established by our members, and every year we make a choice or a decision about some aspect of our sharing guidelines. We'll be doing that just within the next couple of weeks. Our members will be weighing on some aspects of the program, and it's member driven, member controlled, member decided, and so we exist here for our members.
Well, I'm telling you, I love being a member of Liberty Health Share, and to you, my listening friend, give it a try, consider it, learn about it. You can go to libertyhealthshare.org, that's libertyhealthshare.org, or you can call 855-585-4237. That's 855-58-LIBERTY. Dale, it's always a pleasure, and I always look forward to seeing your bright and shiny face. You can certainly see that you live the principles that Liberty Health Share shares with all of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the pleasure of being with you. God bless.
God bless you too. And for you, again, my listening friend, that's 855-58-LIBERTY. Consider it. It's something different, something new, and you'll break out of this mold, this insane mold of the high cost of insurance. So I'm so grateful to Liberty Health Share for not only coming on the show, but being a sponsor of the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. And I'm also a member, even before they became a sponsor. So that's how convinced I am that all of us should try this. Now, I'm going to shift gears because part of being healthy and having a healthy conscious or a healthy lifestyle is habits that we form. We have Light Watkins, the fifth caller or texter will win a free copy of Bliss More, How to Succeed in Meditation Without Really Trying. This is the part that got me, without really trying, and be the fifth caller or texter, 407-373-5959. So I want to call you Bliss because whenever I look at you, whenever I see your name, Light, I think of bliss. So how did you come up with the name of this book? Why did you write this book?
Well, bliss is obviously something that I think a lot of people fantasize about achieving at some point. The problem is we oftentimes put it on the yonder side of acquiring things or acquiring money or acquiring experiences. And the concept of the book is that bliss it's right where you are. It's in your commute right now with you. It's at your breakfast table. It's at your job. It's everywhere you are. You have access to this bliss within. And the means by which we can access it is obviously very ancient practice known as meditation. Mm-hmm. The problem with meditation in our society, especially, is that we equate it with monasticism, which means that we approach it with the back straight, legs crossed, fingers together type of mentality, and it makes it very challenging. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote this book to help people understand that meditation does not have to feel challenging. You can actually meditate in a way that feels very easy. And in fact, you should do that because that's the way you're going to be able to do it every day and not just for the first 2 weeks and then fall off.
Well, I'm really interested in you sharing with my listening friends and my viewers as well, the biological changes in our body that occur. And there's some of the things that first of all, I want to mention, for those of you, be the fifth caller or texter to win the copy of the book, Bliss More. That's 407-373-5959. And for those of you who wanted to adopt a healthy lifestyle, this is a part of my lifestyle that I have been longing to create a pattern. But because of busyness, I have put that on the back burner. Today, I end this and we're going to bliss more on the radio show. We're going to learn from Light Watkins when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Fifth caller texter, 407-373-5959. Okay, so so here we go. Now, when you did your intro, I was very intrigued, Light. What I thought was, when you were sitting around this dream job and you were looking around and you saw at that moment that you didn't see that this dream job was creating happiness, and you looked around and that was the feeling that you had. Was this because we see in others what we are? We see in others who we are. Were you really seeing yourself in them? Or did you know insights on each individual person that was in that meeting that they were miserable too? How did that happen for you?
Well, I want to just clear. I'm not saying they were miserable people.
No, I didn't say that. No, I'm saying that you felt that even though all of you were in a place where you had arrived and this was a dream job, that money didn't equate with happiness. And so that right there, that was a judgment that you made. That was a feeling that you had. Was that because you spoke to them and you knew how they were feeling, or was it because that was what was going on inside of you?
I would probably say the question was going on inside of me, but there wasn't like one instance or one meeting. It was just an accumulation of experiences, being around people and interacting. And it wasn't just at that job. It was just in general. I just decided that for myself, being in an office environment, and this is just me, being in an office environment, wasn't how I wanted to.
Got it.
That wasn't my purpose in the world. I kind of recognized it. I didn't have language for it at the time. I just knew that that wasn't really where I needed to. I could be best. My talents and gifts could be best used. And you could look back now and say, oh, well, you're a meditation teacher. You write these books, of course. But you don't know it at the time. You just know that there's something inside. But at the same time, it was a valuable experience because it allowed me to be able to see what a lot of people go through. There are a lot of people who have really good jobs on paper, but they're not fulfilled. And they don't know why they're not fulfilled, even though they're making all this money and they have all of these titles. But there's something that's missing inside. And I would argue that what is missing is they haven't developed or cultivated the relationship with their inner world. And that's really what meditation is about. It's not about becoming a monk. It's about doing what you do while accessing your bliss within, which then gives you the ability to be a better version of you, to be more of you. All the good things about you tend to rise to the surface, and the things you don't like about yourself tend to fall away.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad that was an awareness that came to you. I just didn't know how it came, because there are times in our lives where we just know something is off. And we ignore it, and we ignore it, and we ignore it until we get a heart attack, or we ignore it and we ignore it until we get diabetes, or we ignore it. And our body is constantly speaking to us. But in meditation, it is it's a totally different thing. And so it's when we actually hear that inner voice speak to us in a different way.
That's right. Meditation, I think, gives us a greater ability to hear the still small voice. And the more we can hear the still small voice, and the more we act on it, the more it becomes a loud, annoying voice. And then it gets to the point where we just can't ignore it anymore. Because I think you're right. We're so good at ignoring that voice. Because most of the time when we hear it, it's telling us to do something that we are a little bit afraid to do because we don't know how it's going to turn out. Mm-hmm. But what we don't realize is that is actually the best place for us to be, is to move in the direction of that kind of unknown, as opposed to the comfort zone. Right? We love being in the comfort zone. We think it's the safest place to be, but it actually is the riskiest place to be, because we're not being challenged, we're not being stretched, we're not involved.
Yeah. I've often said on the show, like that. I've often said on the show that comfort can kill us. There are people comfortable being beaten every day in their life. So we got to get out of that. So here we go. Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. I want to remind you of two things. I'm grateful to Liberty Health Share for being on the first part of the show. If you have any questions, go to libertyhealthshare.org. Also, I am grateful to have a conversation with someone who can get me to that next place. I'm an open book on the show. I share openly about my life. I don't want anybody to think that I've got all the answers or figured out or anything. Every day is an opportunity to grow something, learn something new, and step outside the comfort zone. So this is a comfort zone that I'm going to acknowledge that I have not been able to remain in. It's so foreign to me because I am constantly doing and doing and doing. And there comes a time in our life that we just have to stop and just be, and be a part of that, because I'm constantly hearing, or I'm constantly tapping into my intuition. But even so, I'm doing that, I do need to stop and slow down. And so today's show is not just for me, it's for all of us who are constantly doing. Sometimes, Light, if I am, and thank you, Light Watkins, for being on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. Every time that I sit down for a long period of time without doing something, a bit of thoughts come in my mind going, well, you can work on your blog, or you can work on your Florida Today article, or maybe you can call somebody. So how do we start developing? And with the book, let me remind everybody, 407-373-5959, fifth caller or texter for the book, Bliss More, How to Succeed in Meditation Without Really Trying. Okay, so with that in mind, how do we start establishing a pattern that will set us up for success?
I think that being more intentional about how we're spending our time, I think productivity is okay. We live in a society where productivity is rewarded to a large extent. And so, we have obviously a value on money, and therefore our time is seen as having a cost associated with it. And if we're not doing anything productive with it, then that means we're missing out on the things that we can be otherwise making money on.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's all great. Right. And at the same time, we want to place a value on rest and rehabilitation, right? We do this with sleep. And unfortunately, most of us aren't sleeping as well as we would like to, because we are living such high demand, high pressure lives. But, the body is the same as any other machine, which it needs to be rested. You can't just drive a car forever. It needs to at some point have a pit stop. You can't work your phone forever. At some point you have to plug it in. You can't work your computer forever. No machine can just keep going and going and going without taking any breaks, without taking any kind of rest, or without unplugging. And so the body's the same way. And if we understand this mechanically without even placing too much, esoteric anything on it, just understand it as a pure mechanic of a machine, it needs to rest, then we can get more intentional about that rest and just say, look, I'm going to give my body 15 minutes to rest at some point in the first part of the day, and I'm going to give my body 15 minutes to rest at some point in the next part of the day. And when you build in the rest like that, then you probably won't feel as anxious around not doing anything, because that not doing anything is a little bit more unstructured because you haven't really planned it. So that's why it feels like you're wasting your time. It's not a planned rest. But if you plan the rest and you do that in a structured way, where you're actually meditating or doing whatever it is that you're doing with your eyes closed, now it's structured, and now you feel better about whatever else you have going on that day. But on the flip side of that, you're also able to structure your day a lot better, because your mind and your body become more in sync and your thoughts become more organized as a result of your meditation. So it's kind of a foundational practice that helps you to access other, things that you may want to have benefit from in your professional, personal, and spiritual life.
Okay. So with that in mind, there are benefits, making the time for doing what we need to do, making the time for establishing that time where you take 15 minutes to kind of like charge your battery, like we would our cell phone. That's a great analogy. So let's talk about the benefits you mentioned the benefits of chronological age versus biological age for people who say they don't have time to meditate. What do you say about that on the studies and the effects?
So what's been shown is that the International Journal of Neuroscience published a study showing that if someone meditates on a consistent basis for about 5 years, over the course of those 5 years, they can reverse in their biological aging up to 8, sometimes up to 12 years, which means if you're 30 years old at the beginning of your meditation practice and you meditate until you're 35 years old, by the time you're 35 years old, chronologically, biologically, you will be in a body that is very similar to your 23-year-old self. Now, this is 5 years after starting to meditate when you were 30. So it's not that you turn into the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but what happens is your body starts to operate a lot more efficiently, much more efficiently than it can do without meditation and under the influence of just everyday stress. Now let's look at the opposite, right? Let's extrapolate what happens when you don't meditate and you just keep living high demand, high pressure life. Let's take an example of someone who's in that situation. And the example that I like to point to is Martin Luther King, one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And I use that example because, he was under a lot of pressure. He was under a lot of stress, constantly under the threat of death. And young man, he unfortunately was assassinated at an earlier stage in his life than I'm at right now. I'm 44 years old. He was 39 years old. When they did the autopsy on his body, famously, the doctor said that if we didn't know this was Martin Luther King lying on this gurney here, we would have thought that this was a 60-year-old man based on the age of his organs. So there's definitely an effect. Stress has an effect. It rapidly ages us inside and also outside. Our skin elasticity, everything gets aged a lot faster when we're living under the influence of stress. And when we're living under the influence of bliss and rest, then we can age a lot slower. The body already knows how to do this. We don't need to take all kinds of medication and go to the store and spend all our money on an anti-aging cream. The body has all of that already inside. We just need to give it what it needs, which is, again, an opportunity to rest and rehabilitate.
Okay, very well. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk about the principles of meditation and breathing and the importance of breathing. I often I can't even believe I even use that word, but I often question, that's the word, why I have so many thoughts in my mind when I'm supposed to be looking like this, what you talked, the picture of the monk with their hands put together. What is it that is, proper when it comes to meditation as far as body, posture, mind, mentality, all of that?
Yeah. So I have this in the acronym that I use in the book called the easy approach.
Yes.
And the easy approach applies to the busy mind. Everybody thinks that they're unique in that their mind is busier than everyone else's mind. And that's not the case at all. In fact, everybody's mind is busy. My mind is as busy as your mind is. From a perspective of quantity, meaning I have the same number of thoughts that anyone else has. There's no one walking around with a blank mind, with no thoughts. What we're really talking about when we say my mind is busy is we're describing the quality of our thoughts. That means that a lot of our thoughts may be a little bit more negative or more distressful in nature, because nobody's complaining about having too many happy thoughts. Nobody's complaining about having too many creative thoughts, right? The complaint is always about the bad thoughts, the negative thoughts, the Groundhog's Day thoughts, the boring thoughts. And so what meditation is going to do in that situation is going to help that person break the symmetry of the same old thoughts that you're having every day and access a deeper state of being where you may find that you feel like you're dreaming at certain points. You may find like you're not having any thoughts at all at certain points. Mm-hmm. And so it's the treadmill for that negative mind. It helps to get it in shape. And then eventually, from a psychophysiological perspective, the body will start to feel more balanced. And then that will start to lead you to have a higher quality of thoughts.
Okay, so what is the proper position? What is the best time of the day? Share a little bit about that.
So the position that I recommend, and again, I want to make very, very clear, this is not the only way to do it. This is not necessarily the best way to do it, but from having been teaching meditation for over a decade on a weekly basis and literally coming into contact with thousands of people, what I've seen is that everyone's objective is to have a quieter mental experience in meditation. In order for that to happen, you want to be sitting in a position that feels more or less comfortable to you. So I would say it always needs to start with a comfortable seated position.
Okay, so we're going to continue more talking about the body and what it should look like when we return with Light Watkins. The book is Bliss More, How to Succeed in Meditation Without Really Trying. That part got me. 407-373-5959. Fifth caller or texter to leave a message. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so you talked about no one complains about being happy. But how many people have you heard, oh my God, she is just so happy. I can't believe it. And others try to bring you down because we are energetically connected, and others bring you down by trying to say, oh my God, I can't believe it. Did you take a happy pill? Tone it down. The world that is around us, we may not be complaining about being happy, but everybody around us may complain that, bring it down a notch. How do you manage with someone like that? Or do you feel that when you do meditation, you eventually stop being so, out there and then just be more introspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a both and. Being happy doesn't mean you're walking around with a big smile plastered on your face all the time. It means that you are operating from a level of contentedness and fulfillment that allows you to be where you are without wishing and wondering why you aren't somewhere else. And that's what's really it's the opposite. When someone is like that, they're very attractive versus when they're walking around, pretending like they're really happy, but they may not be that as happy as they're pretending to be. And I think that's unattractive, and people can kind of spot that from a mile away.
Yeah. Yes, you can spot a fraud a mile away. So you talked about the easy: embrace, accept, surrender, yield. Those are all wonderful. I'm a big acronym girl. I love creating ideas of, is it called mnemonics, of how to remember a pattern or a word.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the easy, but here we go. And I'd like for you to address the mindset, how the mindset, I think part of the reason, and watching your videos and also reading sections of your book, that I feel that the fear of not being able to be successfully living that look, or what it's supposed to be like, or what's supposed to feel like, not knowing what it's supposed to be other than breathing. So what I find myself, for my escape and my charge in, I journal. Would people have different forms of meditation, like journaling? Could that be a meditation for me? The equivalent of meditation? I know that before I go to bed, or when I wake up in the morning, I breathe and I say, thank you, I'm so grateful. Is that a form of meditation? What is meditation?
Yeah, those are all forms of meditation, exactly. And like I was saying, this is just one approach. If you want to have a specific kind of experience,
Mm-hmm.
then and that's why I was very intentional of naming it How to Succeed Without Really Trying. It's because the way I'm defining success is a meditation practice that you enjoy doing.
Love it. Okay, so this is our last segment. Can you believe it? And so let me talk a little bit about my social media, and then I'll reintroduce you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the McDermott Radio Show, where our goal is to live the life of our dreams, take 100% responsibility for living the life that we desire. Part of what I've desired is to meditate more. So there are different forms of meditation. This is one of them that Light Watkins is talking about today. For those of you who would like a free copy of the book, we're giving away the fifth caller or texter at 407-373-5959. Leave a message. When you're leaving a message, and at least I know this is not a wrong number, and I'll give you credit for it. So 407-373-5959. Make sure you put me in your favorites. And also, I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And when you do that, please check out my sponsors, support them the way they support me. And while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, not only become a subscriber, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe there, go to my social media, like me there. And also you can call, leave a message. If there's a subject that you feel that you need to learn about, feel free to call or text or email me. You can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. You can call or leave me a message or text me at 407-373-5959. And let's build this community of empowerment and freedom. a responsibility, doing whatever we need to do. Part of the routine in our life that we can embrace, which would be the charging of our battery, the charging of our life. And so there is a book that's called Bliss More, How to Succeed in Meditation Without Really Trying, which this is probably spoke to me the loudest for any meditation book that has been out there for me. So as we talk about it, because I know you talk about the white polar bear, the white polar bear. So let's talk about the mind. And is it okay for the mind to wander? And how do we bring this mind, the wandering, back to focus? At what point do we realize, oh man, I failed at meditation. Another thing I failed at, right? So how do we get to our mindset so that we are calm? We go through that easy process.
Well, a lot of the assumptions we have around meditation are they're counterintuitive. One is that we need to focus on something, and that we need to come back to something, and that's actually not necessary. And I think it requires a reframing of the entire thinking process. Instead of seeing the mind as the obstacle or the nemesis to the practice of meditation, we want to start looking at the mind as an ally to meditation, and seeing our thoughts as a legitimate part of the process. And that's what I break down in Bliss More when I talk about the easy approach. Easy is an acronym, which means embrace, accept, surrender, and yield to the busy mind. And here's the irony. When we can have that attitude around our thoughts, we'll be able to move through the thoughts into a quieter, more settled state a lot easier, much easier than we can from focusing. Because in order to focus on anything, you have to use your thoughts. And if you don't want to be thinking, but you're having to use your thoughts in order to not think, then it's kind of, you're in a catch-22, because don't think is a thought. Why am I still thinking is another thought. So thinking is constant. Then the practice of meditation is the act of really allowing the experience to be whatever it is without judgment, be completely passive to the experience. And then when you're able to embody that approach, you'll be shocked at how easy it is for the mind to go beyond those busy surface thoughts and into a quieter, more settled state.
Okay. So as I meditate, sometimes I find myself falling asleep. What if that happens? Am I still meditating or am I sleeping?
Great question. So the reason why people fall asleep in meditation is because they're usually sleep deprived. And meditation is a balance.
Okay. And that's one of the reasons I can't meditate.
Meditation is a balancing, it's a balancing tool. So anything that's out of balance will start to come back into balance from meditation. Meditation is very restful, but it doesn't replace sleep. And so if you're sleep deprived and you start meditating, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be falling asleep at some points during your meditation career, especially in the beginning phase. But it's not going to be like that forever. And again, if you look at it in a way that's not judging the experience, just go with it, then after a month or two, you won't be having that experience anymore.
Okay, so why do we see so many people assume the position, and if we're not exactly in that same position, somehow we feel that we're not meditating? So what is the proper position?
Well, because another assumption we make is that we have to emulate monks in order to meditate properly.
Yes.
And what we don't realize is that there are householder traditions that have existed alongside of monastic traditions for thousands of years. And the householder traditions, interestingly, don't require you to sit with your legs crossed or your back straight. You can actually sit with your back supported. That's very important if you want your mind to go into a settled state. Because if you're holding a position, you're using physical activity, that's going to cause your mind to be that much more active. In the same way that if you're in economy class in the airplane, it's much more difficult to rest than if you were in business class and your seat was all the way back and you're able to go horizontal. Just by being able to change your position, your ability to rest is going to improve exponentially. And the same is true with meditation. When you're sitting in a more comfortable position, your ability for the mind to settle is going to be a lot more improved than if you're trying to sit like with a straight back. And again, it's not to say that this is this is the only way or this is the correct way. It's just in terms of efficiency. If what you want is a quiet mind, then you should start with being comfortable. And if you have to scratch or shift your position or cough, you can do all of those things. You don't need to be a frozen sculpture in order to think you're meditating properly.
Okay, so let's talk about breath and the importance of breath. I believe that so many people, and I was one of them, I had to go to therapy to learn how to breathe again. And there was a time in my life that I was that the demands of my career were, I couldn't sing anymore. I sing, and so it affected my vocal cords. And when I went to go to a speech therapist that practices for singing, she said, "Well, you've been sitting there and you haven't breathed once." And I'm like, "What can it be? I breathe all the time." No, you're breathing with your chest. You're not breathing with your diaphragm. And she had to teach me again how to breathe. So, what do you say about breathing and the importance of breathing and how to breathe?
Well, obviously, it's the most important thing. Breathing.
Of course it is, but how we breathe.
It's the most important thing to do. And there are certain meditation practices that are completely oriented around the breathing. What I'm teaching in the book is not focused on the breathing as much, because if you control the breathing during this approach to meditation, you may end up keeping your mind trapped in the busy surface where you don't want it to be. So just by letting go of the breath control, it's not to say you're not breathing, just you're not controlling it at all, then you can end up creating the experiences that I think you want to have in meditation. And, there are certain breathing exercises you can tack on to the beginning or the end, which is the most appropriate time to do those exercises, not during the meditation.
Okay. I would love for us to do a meditation now, but I know there's a lot of listeners that are driving. What would you, and that would not be good. I could just see the headlines. What is the most important aspect for you when it comes to passing on? What would you tell someone like me who really wants to meditate, but picks up the phone first thing in the morning and finds herself working all over right away? What would you say to someone like me?
I would say to read Bliss More as an audiobook, and that'll give you a good time report. But just to give your listeners a little value here, if you are driving and you want to engage in a meditative act, you can have 10 deep, as you say, diaphragm breaths in a row, where you breathe all the way in, you pause at the top, you breathe all the way out, you pause at the bottom. And this is an anti-anxiety approach. So if you're feeling a bit anxious, if you're feeling overwhelmed, then you can do that 10 breaths in a row. Take about a couple minutes to do all 10 breaths. So make them really slow. And you may find that the anxiety will start to diminish.
Wonderful. Well, Light Watkins, time is always so fast and such a bandit. And on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, thank you so much. And I'm so grateful for you motivating me today to start my meditation practice. So thank you.
Thank you, Lillian.
And to you, my listening friend, it's time to reverse our biological age. That's what got me. He had me at hello after that. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Yeah, there you go. Woke you up. Okay, thank you so much, Light. Anything else that you would like to add before we close the video today?
No, just happy meditating, and check out the book. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yes.
I'm online at lightwatkins.com.
That's right. And you know what? I will mention that as well. I'll add that to my Facebook page. So thank you so much, Light, for being part of the show today. I am grateful, and I will start as a matter of fact, I do a lot of things throughout the day. Breathing is one of them to kind of ground me. But I truly want to give my Creator my first fruits in the morning. That is when I am totally there. And so these bad habits that I've developed, or these habits that I've developed that I want to substitute with better habits to support the life I want to live, to give me the energy to be able to do what I want to do. And so I'm grateful for your book, because I want to reverse my age. At 54, I want to reverse my age.
Wow, you're 54. That's crazy.
I am, but I'm not as young as you. And so I want to go back that Martin Luther King analogy or example of Martin Luther King, how at his age he had the body of a 60-plus-year-old, really got to me. Because I really want to do things in my life. I believe in taking 100% responsibility for my life. And that means I'm going to make the declaration right here, right now, that this is the first thing I'm going to do. It's just been so uncomfortable for me to sit in quiet.
Yeah. Well, the book will help you a lot.
Yes, it has already. I'm telling you, you had me at reverse your biological age. So I'm so grateful to you. I hope you get to go back to bed and enjoy your bliss more in your bed as you relax. Thank you for the work you're doing and for making us aware of the importance of meditation, Bliss.
Thank you so much.
Light.
Take care.
Okay, Light. Take care. Bye. And to you, my viewing friends, thank you for watching. I look forward to our next conversation.